So, boys, we have been seeing the and watching the configuration in the glucose structure. So we saw the DL configuration, absolute configuration, and relative configuration. I told you about the methods to be adopted and what is relative configuration and what is the absolute configuration. So in this session, you exclusively learn about the ways to describe the relative configuration and absolute configuration. I'm just going to share the screen here, so you'll see the definition first, and then accordingly we can work out. Okay, so here is the DL system and DL configuration. Okay. In your syllabus, you have DL configuration as well as RS configuration. Okay. To differentiate between these two, you have to find out what D and L means. The DL system actually refers to something called as dexter, that is left, okay, and levus, that is right. But it is quite opposite of that. Now this dexter is right and levus is left. Dexter is right and levus is left. Left. It is often referred to handedness, whether you say left hand or right hand. Okay. Now, when we say DL, the first thing that should strike your mind is it is relative configuration. It is relative configuration. What do you mean by that? I told you that we have taken relative, it is related. We have taken certain standard molecule and related it with that particular molecule. What is the most common used molecule we often take? It is glyceraldehyde. It has got CHO, CHOH, and CH2OH. So we're going to see how this. So in the carbohydrates, we have described whether OH is on the right or on the left. When it is on the right, you call it as D. When it is on the left, you call it as L. So any group that is in the carbohydrate, whether it is glucose, mannose, cellulose, or fructose, the carbon atom 2, this is carbon atom 1, okay, this is carbon atom 3. From bottom, from 3, if you see, the carbon atom is chiral in nature. Okay, so this is a very perfect example of taking chirality. All the four groups are different. That is why you call it as chiral. Different means you call it as the chiral. So this is the chiral center. Usually just above CH2OH, you have OH, either it may be written on the right or it may be written on the left. So then this is what you see it as the glyceraldehyde. The glyceraldehyde is chiral and its two isomers are labeled as D and L. D and L in L it is right. In D it is right. In L it is left. Typically, the in published works means in the textbooks you see it as L dash or D dash. Okay, so it is historically used for the purpose of finding out the isomers. So you can write this text and this description, but you have to remember the important point that I just usually highlight. Okay, one example in the chiral amino acid is that they often give, apart from glyceraldehyde, is the amino acid. An amino acid. Of course, you're going to study about the amino acid in the later classes. Alanine, which has two optical isomers, that is, it has got two centers, and they are labeled according to which isomer of glyceraldehyde they come from. That is, from D-glyceraldehyde, if it goes like D-alanine, you call it as the D-alanine. Okay, on the other hand, glycine, the amino acid derived from glyceraldehyde, has no optical activity and is not mirroring. Look at that. On the other hand, glycine. Glycine is also derived from glyceraldehyde. Okay, it is not optical active, but this one is optical active because it is having chirality. So, in the first part, you have summed up what is D and L. In D and L, we call it as the relative configuration because you relate it to the glyceraldehyde molecule. On the other hand, the absolute configuration of a chiral center is something very accurate, absolute. It's very accurate. In cosmology also, you have got two types of time. One is the relative time and the absolute time. The absolute time, you call it as from the beginning of the universe. Absolute time means beginning of universe. When the universe begin and what happened after expansion, when did the planets form, all those things are there. So it's very accurate clock, and cosmologically it is the beginning of universe. Okay. All this you need to have a knowledge of all this because somewhere or other, it will be required for you to relate to your whatever you studies. But in the relative time, you have something which is related to the incidents, events. Okay. When sun rises, you call it as the you have some time, and then when sun sets, these two things end the day. Okay, these two things make one day. But here you do not. You just relate it to sun. Okay, so this will be called as the relative time, and this will be called as the absolute time. So when the universe was formed, time was also supposed to be formed. But in the relative things, you look at the sunrise, day starts, sunsets, day ends, and then you have this 24-hour cycle. You have divided it into so many divisions, which is stand by 24, and then you get that. Okay. So in the same way, relative time is with respect to glyceraldehyde. Absolute time is with respect to something very accurate thing. Okay. So that is again the special arrangements of the ligands or the atoms or groups to the chiral center. The chiral center is one in which you describe it as a C star. You have got 4 different groups, that is A, B, D, and E. Why is not C there? C is already a carbon atom. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 different atoms, and all the 4 are different, and therefore different. So superimposable means it is just like if you look at the camera, my both the hands are superimposed. If I place a hand like this, my right thumb and left thumb are free. It is not superimposable. If I place it like this, the left thumb and the right thumb they exactly match, and therefore that is called superimposable. And they are often mirror images. Superimposable is the important point you have to write for relative absolute configuration. Mirror images is the next point you have to write. Okay. Mirror images are meaning that the arrangement of ligands around the chiral center in one is the exact opposite of that in two. Arrangement of ligand is, I told you, it is configuration. Okay. Whether it goes to the right or goes to the left. And 1 and 2, what is on the right? In the 1 is on the left in the 2. It's a mirror image and it's not superimposable. Chiral centers in 1 and 2 are said to have absolute configurations. According to Arya's convention, the absolute configuration of the chiral center 1 is R and that the chiral center in the 2 is S. Okay. Arya's convention means, it is called as the rector and sinister. Rector and sinister. And it is an absolute configuration which you are going to see. Just keep in mind that RS is absolute and DL is relative. These two are very important. Okay. So here, let me work out on the slides. The configuration is something which you need to first concentrate on. That is the arrangement of groups in the space. Okay. So you have here they describe D and L configuration and plus and minus. This is depends on the activity, that is the optical activity. Okay, rotation. When it is rotated to the right, you define that as plus, and when it is rotated to the right, minus. So you will see that in our next session. Relative configuration is is a comparative arrangement of atoms of this company. So here is that you can see this. Okay, is a chiral center here. This is a chiral center here, and you have 4 different groups: 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is a mirror. Okay, this is a mirror, and in this mirror you have a mirror image, which is also an isomer. COH is on top. COH is on top. H is on the right, and H is on the left. CS3 is on the left here, and CS3 is on the right, and O is at the bottom. Okay, so this kind of mirror images you can describe using the R and S notation and the D and L notation. So there are compounds where you can describe both D configuration and L configuration and R notation as well as S notation. So they will usually give the example and ask you to identify the D and L and R and S notations. So let me first go to the relative configuration. As I told you, the glyceraldehyde is the one in which OH is on the right. Okay, therefore you call it as the D-glyceraldehyde. This is an important point. Okay, OH is on the left, and you call it as the L-glyceraldehyde. Therefore, any compound that has got CS2OH, next carbon atom is asymmetric. Any compound in which OH is right, you will call it as the D configuration. Any compound in which OH is left, you will call it as the that is L configuration. Okay, this is right, this is left, this is D, this is L. So left and L you don't have to confuse. The right and L is a relative one. This is the standard molecule. Call it as the standard molecule, which is nothing but glyceraldehyde. The compound prepared from are converted into D glyceraldehyde, prepared from glyceraldehyde are converted into D-glyceraldehyde and prepared and converted to L-glyceraldehyde are called relative configuration, that is D-glyceraldehyde. So here is one relative example. Glycerol is there. In the glycerol, you have got 2 CS2OH there, right? This is not a symmetric carbon atom. Why? Because you have got 1 and 2 as the same COH group. Okay, but what you do is you convert this CH2OH into a CHO group. Okay, what have you removed? You have removed a hydrogen molecule, that is minus S2. You have oxidized it, minus S2. When you oxidize it, you can see that the groups are different. CH2OH is one group, CHO is another group, OH is another group, and H is other. So 4 different atoms are there, 4 different groups or ligands are there. Therefore, this is asymmetric. This is asymmetric, and you have to see that it can be compared with the glycerol. It can be compared with the glycerol. Here, what you have to do is you have to again convert it, oxidize this into a glyceric acid. In the glyceric acid, you have CS2OH at the bottom, COOH on the right? Remember, if you have it on the right, you call it as the D. And 4 different groups are there. 1, 2, 3, 4 different groups. So this is an asymmetric carbon atom. Okay, and that is what is mentioned here. So I'm going to just read out that this is the definition of that. Relative configuration is what you see. This is a method. Palladium is used to oxidize. Why do you use palladium? what you have done, you have converted this double bond into a single bond. Okay, that means you have added hydrogen. So that means it is a reduction reaction. So palladium is used for reduction reaction, in which you have converted CH3, CH, CH double bond CH2 to this. Okay. So why this example is given is this particular molecule is having a rotatory degree of about plus 330, plus 33.2, whereas this one is having a plus 13.5. But what is important here is, because this compound is prepared from this, you will always have alpha S and alpha. Okay. No bonds are made between the carbon in this experiment. Therefore, when plus B3 butane to all have the same sign of rotation, the arrangement of atoms in the chiral carbon atom is analogous. Analogous means same. Okay, the two have a same relative configuration. Okay, so that is the relative configuration. Again, you are having another example there. So this is a very ambiguous case. That is what it mentioned. We have CH3, CH2, CH, CH1, CH3 with the alpha rotation of minus 5.8. You just substitute this OH by means of Br and you get Br there. The alpha is rotated into opposite direction. Here you have minus sign there and you have plus sign there. Not all compounds that have the same relative configuration have the same sign of rotation. No bonds are made and broken, and at the chiral centers, sometimes there is a difference in this. I'll tell about absolute configuration later, but let me just show you a few pictures that will give you an idea of about what is glucose picture for the carbohydrate. So you can see that in the Fischer projection formula, which you have seen, this is what you have seen in the Fischer projection formula. Okay, CH2OH at the bottom. This is the chiral center. This is the chiral center. You have OH on the right. So when you have OH on the right, it is D-glucose. But this is a Fischer formula, free form, linear. Okay, but that we don't have to get it. We have to convert it into a cyclic form. We have seen why it should be converted into the cyclic form. When you convert this into the cyclic form, there you get a first carbon atom, second carbon atom, third carbon atom, fourth carbon atom, fifth carbon atom. This is the first. This is the first. This is second. This is third. This is fourth. This is sixth. 1,5 linkages is there. Can you recall? We have studied a lot about that. Those 1,5 linkages there. In the 1,5 linkages, this is the oxylink. We have seen this as a beta glycosidic linkage. In many examples. Okay. So in such a case, when you write a cyclic structure, you have to write about whether the glucose is okay. I'll just take this example. Here you can see this OH group is pointing down. Alpha D glucose, OH is C1 is pointing down. C1, C2, C3, C4. Sorry, this is C3 is, where is C3? Carbon 1, carbon 2, carbon 3, carbon 4, carbon 5 and carbon 6. And this is glycosidic linkage. Glycosidic linkage, 1,5 linkage. Okay. So here C1 is pointing down, OH is down. So you just call it as alpha. And here you have OH up, and therefore you call it as the beta. A very important point there. Up is beta, down is alpha. These two things are important. Okay. So I will stop this because we have seen enough of this. Thank you for joining me. We'll see the next time.